Hello.
Hey,
Hi guys.
How's the night?
How's life?
Great.
Look, the smoke's rolling.
Yeah, so we just need a bunch of vehicles on that night, or else they could just.
Ooh, and it comes right at me.
You know what I mean?
Smoke of the white rabbit, go
But
away.
you need a DD. Alright guys, since we're all around a fire, how about a story?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Let's do it.
It's like, what kind of story are you thinking of all of a sudden?
A story that has been passed on through each generation and has been told for over many years.
So what story might that be?
It's a story about one of the many adventures Wesakechak the Trickster has had.
Nice. I haven't heard the tale of a trickster in a long time.
There are lots of interesting tales to tell, but there's one I really enjoy telling. One day, Wesakechak was looking for food. He was so hungry and tired that he could barely lift his feet. As he wandered, he stumbled across a young man who was gathering wood. Wesakechak watched as the young man piled up the wood. He then noticed there was a basket full of fresh fish. At that moment, Wesakechak started to come up with a plan to take the fish. He pondered for a few minutes, then he came up with a brilliant idea. Well, brilliant in his mind, of course. Wesakechak planned to trick the young man into giving him the fish by telling the young man the fish tastes horrible around these parts, and that if he wants good tasting fish, he should try another lake a few miles away. So then Wesakechak proceeded to walk toward the young man.
Dancer, how are you?
Manato, and yourself?
I'm good, thanks. I see you have some luck out on the lake.
Yeah, they were biting almost every minute.
I was just a bit curious, was fish caught in that lake?
Yeah? Why?
Because fish on that lake are disgusting.
Why are they disgusting?
They are disgusting because the water's been polluted with garbage. And the fish live in that dirty water. So to eat those fish would be like eating garbage.
Damn. I wish I would have knew that before I wasted my entire morning. Looks like I have to toss away these fish and choose a different spot before the day ends.
I can toss those out for you. It'll make things a lot quicker.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for your help.
Not a problem. Have yourself a good day now, man.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
As the young man walked away, Wesakechak smiled to himself and said,
I can't believe that just worked. You gotta make a fire and we're eating like a chief.
While the young man walked toward his new destination, he noticed that his knife was missing.
Oh, where did I put my knife? Oh, I left it at my old campsite.
As soon as the young man figured out where he had left his knife, he quickly turned around to head back. As the young man approached his old campsite, he noticed Wesakechak was still there. The young man became curious as to what Wesakechak was doing, so he knelt down behind some bushes and watched Wesakechak. Wesakechak was singing to himself while he cooked the fish that the young man had left behind. Once the young man saw this, he became angry because Wesakechak had tricked him. The young man sat there watching Wesakechak for a few minutes until he came up with his own idea on how to teach Wesakechak a lesson. The young man planned to wait until Wesakechak was done cooking the fish. Then he would sneak up and switch the cooked fish with poison ivy. The young man started to gather poison ivy. Once he had had enough, he hid behind a bush and waited for Wesakechak to leave the fish unattended.
Alright, well that's the last one. I'll go get some water to go with this feast.
Wesakechak then covered his cooked fish with a cloth and started walking toward the lake.
This is my chance.
The young man headed towards the unattended fish. He reached the fish and started to gather them up one by one. After he had them all, he put the poison ivy where the fish should have been, then took off running into the bush. Wesakechak came back and sat down next to where he had left the fish. He then reached into the basket without noticing he had a handful of poison ivy. He then took a bite and realized right away that it wasn't fish. Wesakechak started to spit out the poison ivy and became angry.
How did this happen? Who did this?
Wesakechak started to look around for the culprit but couldn't find anything. He then noticed the footprints leading into the campsite and away from the campsite. He started to follow the footprints and came across the young man who was eating the last fish.
It was you!
Wesakechak tried to chase the young man, but he was too fast and got away. As the young man reached the top of the hill, just before going over it, he turns around and says,
Ha ha! You tricked me for my fish, but now I tricked you back! Ha ha!
The young man laughed, then disappeared.
Ah!
Wesakechak yelled. He began walking, continuing his search for food. He had nothing to eat. His stomach was growling even louder than before. And to top it all off, he had a rash around his mouth from the poison ivy. It was a very long time until Wesakechak played a trick on someone again. So can any of you tell me what the moral of the story was?
The moral of the story would be, don't check someone unless you want to be checked back.
So the moral of the story would be, treat people how you want to be treated.
Both answers were excellent and correct. Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed the story. Until the next time.